guys, today I'm filming a video on the top 10 products I believe are not worth the hype. Last week I filmed a video on the top 10 products I think are worth the hype. I'll have it linked up here in case you guys are interested. So for today's video, I am not going to do a disclaimer. I think it is absolutely ridiculous people feel that they have to do one and these kind of negative videos, but I'm not doing one. So the first item would be the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer Water. So I had a travel size of this. I completely used it up. That is lightly scented water. It did absolutely nothing for my skin. The best part about the whole thing was the packaging. The nozzle spray on there was incredible. It dispersed the product so fantastically. I did save the packaging because I thought the bottle was so amazing, but the product itself did absolutely nothing for my skin. There was no difference whether I used it or not. And if you're familiar with my channel, you know that I don't really believe in setting sprays either, but the primer water definitely did nothing for me. I do know a lot of people really rave about this, and if you're interested, at least at the time I'm filming this video, all of the scented versions that were made in collaboration with Nicole Concealio are on sale for 50% off at Ulta, in case you're interested. I've heard the scents are pretty intense, but people seem to like the coconut, so check them out if you're wanting them for 50% off. Also, Ulta usually includes that in the 21 days of beauty, but for me, it just did absolutely nothing and is definitely not worth the money. My next product is a foundation. This is the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless Foundation. Now, you guys may have thought this would be a perfect product for me. I thought so too, but no, it is not good. First off, people be saying this is a full coverage foundation with a matte finish. Not for me. This gives a light medium, maybe medium coverage if I'm being generous. And for me, full coverage is Kat Von D Lock-It Tattoo Foundation. And in comparison, this gives you no coverage. Also, this does not keep me matte at all. I have other foundations that don't even claim to be mattifying that mattify me more than this. So no, absolutely not. It does not live up to the hype and the claims for me personally. Now, if you're a normal skin person that wants a matte foundation, it might be good for you, but I am a super duper oily, grease slick kind of a person, so it just did not mattify me enough. My next product is another foundation. It is the MakeUpForEver Ultra HD Foundation, and this is something that is not targeted towards my skin type, and I did not buy this. I got it for free from influencers, so of course I figured I might as well try it. I did film a first impression and follow-up on this, which I will have linked up here, and unfortunately this was my most perfect match ever, which was so exciting, except I did not like the formula at all. First off, this gives very light coverage, barely anything. It feels like not even a tinted moisturizer, and then it just has a very glowy finish, which is something that I knew going into it, so I didn't have high expectations in the first place, but no. It does nothing for my skin. With the amount of coverage it gives, I would rather wear no makeup at all. I just don't see why someone would want to spend that much money on this foundation, because you could find light coverage glowy foundations from the drugstore. So I know a lot of people swear by it, but I just can't get into it. But I am a full coverage foundation kind of girl. The next item is something I was so excited for because people went crazy for this. The RCMA No Color Powder, and I'm pretty sure Kathleen Lights is the one that made this blow up, and her friend Gabby told her about it, who is a makeup artist, and this is an incredibly large amount of powder. It's a 3-ounce bottle for like $10 or something, which is an incredible value. The only thing that sucks is that the packaging looks like a salt and pepper shaker, so it is very annoying to use it that way. And this is supposed to be a translucent powder. No. And it's crazy because I have seen very deep complected people use this. I'm pretty sure Nima Tang has used this and it works for them, but for some reason for me it didn't work. So I had tried applying this with a damp sponge to set my under eye concealer. That was the worst mistake of my life. It caked up and gunked up the product under my eye. I tried to brush it off. It wouldn't brush off. It came off in chunks and took off my concealer and foundation with it, and my makeup looked like a freaking mess. So then I just applied it all over my face and under my eyes using a powder brush. and that gave me a much nicer finish, but it gave me an incredible white cast. I used to use this powder with all of my first impression videos, and I had several comments like, oh wow, your skin looks lighter after you put on that translucent powder. And I was like, yeah, I know, it's insane. Also, this doesn't do anything for me to mattify my skin. It doesn't really claim to. And recently I just used up the NYC translucent smooth skin loose powder. That one is so much better than the RCMA. I can use it with a brush and a sponge, and it doesn't give me a white cast. My next product is a 2-in-1 because I do actually have 11 products in this video. And these are products that used to be raved about. I bought them because they were hyped on YouTube, and they're not talked about as much anymore, but I wanted to mention them because I bought them because of YouTube and then was incredibly disappointed. The first one is definitely because of the color. This is the Benefit Coralista blush, and you might be like, wow, Heather, what do you mean you don't like it because you've hit pan on it? And that's because this is the oldest blush in my collection, one of the oldest. It was the very first gift that Justin bought for me when we had first started dating. It was so funny because we were in the Ulta store and I hinted about this product, like strongly hinted like 10 times, and then he bought it for me and acted like he like totally surprised me, and I was like, oh yeah, I definitely didn't have any idea you might get me that. But it was still super sweet, and that's what makes this special to me, is because it was one of the first gifts that he got me. And the reason I'm not incredibly impressed with this is because of the color. This is a very light, peachy, shimmery blush. And I have a very fair skin tone, but I like really intense blushes. So for me, the Benefit blushes are way too natural. Now, I did last summer buy the California, which has a lot more pigment. That color is very beautiful. I love the Hoola bronzer, but for their blushes, I think that they're just so natural. And these are like 30 bucks, which is a lot of money. And there are so many good drugstore blushes that I just can't see this one being worth the hype. I would love to use it up, but it's definitely not something that I would repurchase. And then another blush that I bought because of YouTube and was incredibly disappointed in would be the Tarte Amazonian Clay blushes. Now, I know that they've updated the packaging since I bought mine, but I don't know if they have also updated the formula. But these are the driest blushes in the world, and these get hard pan so easily, so I would not recommend swatching these with your fingers because that's how I got hard pan, and it was so hard for me to get off of this. I had to use a spoolie or a rough paper towel and really go to town. So this shade I have here is Exposed, and I have actually worn off a lot of the pattern and have a good dip in here, and once you work through the top layer, it's a little bit softer but still really tough. And the only reason I kept this blush is because the color is so beautiful. This is a blush I would always like to have because of this color. It's a really beautiful mauve-y color, but the formula is so hard and stiff. However, I do have one of the mini blushes. I have also had a Tarte blush palette in the past, and the formula of those are so much softer, and I don't know why there's such a difference, but there is. So I know that they can do good blushes, and even the other Tarte blushes I think are decent. The minis and the palettes, I think that they're decent. They're soft, they're pigmented, but they just aren't that special. And there are just so many other drugstore and high-end blushes that perform even better than these. They have more color payoff, they're easier to work with. So just considering all the amazing blush formulas out there, I just don't think these are worth the hype. And next I have two highlighting products, and I think you guys are going to be really surprised by this and maybe a little upset by it, but okay, I'm just going to do it. The first one I don't think is worth the hype would be the Becca highlighters. Oh no. I have a little mini of Opal that I haven't really worn too much because it is too dark for my skin, but this is the shade Pearl. You can see I have hit pan on this, so I have tested it out enough to know I don't love these. Now these are very, very shimmery. They have a ton of reflective sheen on the cheeks, which is very pretty, but these are so freaking powdery. They kick up so much powder. You waste so much powder when you're using this. But also, and maybe it's just this color, This looks incredibly chalky on my skin, and I know it's a white shade, so it might be that way, but it looks like it is just sitting on top of my skin. My favorite highlighter of all time is the Balm Mary Luminizer. I love the color, and I think the formula is a little creamier, and it just melts into the skin so nicely. So I basically compare all formulas to that one, and this one is just too powdery for me. Also, these are incredibly expensive. Now, at the same time I'm saying this, I would love to be able to get a little mini of Moonstone to try it out, because that color is supposed to be amazing for my skin. And I just would love to have like little minis of all the highlighters that are really popular to try out. But from what I've tried so far, this formula just is not that great to me. The other highlighter product was really popular like a year, maybe 2 years ago, and that would be the Sleek Solstice palette. And this is actually something I had received from Sleek PR a while back. And in this palette you have a cream highlight, a powder highlight, and then two like mineralized highlights. The mineralized highlights were very chalky to me, super dry, which a lot of mineralized formulas are that way. The cream was too dark for my skin tone. The regular powder shade worked well color wise, but like I just did not see anything special about the formula, and I especially did not like the mineralized ones. So out of that palette, the only one I used was the regular highlight, and it just wasn't ba-bam enough. It wasn't special enough. I still do not understand why people lost their marbles over this product, and I ended up gifting it to a friend. My next product is the L'Oreal Brow Stylist Definer. I think this also came out maybe 2 years ago or so, and people went crazy for this, saying this was a dupe for the Anastasia Brow Wiz pencil. I used up the entire pencil in 2 weeks. Excuse me. I mean, I know I have a lot of brow hairs, but like, excuse me? And the reason for that is because this was really waxy, and I had to go over the same spot over and over and over again to build up the pigmentation. And then I was just going through the product because it was straight wax and not creamy enough whatsoever for me. I love the NYX Micro Brow Pencil. I think that is a really good dupe for the Anastasia Brow Wiz. I know a lot of people differ on that, but I just went through the L'Oreal so quickly. It was pricey, and it would not draw onto my skin. And the next item is something that a decent amount of people have been talking about recently, not loving anymore, and it's an eyeshadow palette. I'm gonna give you a couple seconds, see if you can guess what I'm gonna say. Are you ready? Let's see if you're right. That would be the Urban Decay Naked Original palette. And this was the very first high-end eyeshadow, no, it was the second high-end eyeshadow palette that I got, because the first one was the Urban Decay Vegan palette. I'm pretty sure I got that one before this one. But anyway, this was one of the very first eyeshadow palettes that I had purchased, and I feel like originally it was really colorful high-end palettes that were popular. Like Urban Decay used to just make really colorful palettes, and then when this neutral palette came out, it was great for everyday wear, and people went crazy on this. This also released around the time I had just started watching YouTube videos, which was back in 2010, and everybody went crazy for this palette. Now that it's 2018, there are so many palettes on the market that this one just seems like a snooze in comparison. And for some reason, colors like these show up very muddy on my eyes, and I don't think it's anything about the formula. I think it's just those kind of shades. My favorite color in this palette used to be Naked and Buck. They were my go-to transition and crease shades, but now I just do not like them. I would rather use something warm or something cool. I never pull for these. I do love Half Baked. It probably is my favorite gold of all time, but it's also in the Naked 2 palette. It's just not as amazing as it used to be, but also considering how many palettes were available at the time, it makes sense why we all loved it. But now in comparison, it's just wah wah. And my last item is a lip product, and I'm kind of surprised I only have one lip product in this video because I'm very picky about lip products, and this is so freaking expensive is the main reason this is so disappointing to me. And that would be the NARS Audacious lipsticks. Now I only have one. It is in the shade Raquel. It is a really beautiful peachy nude. I got this a couple years ago during a VIB sale, so I did get it a little bit on sale, but like these lipsticks are like $25 or something absolutely ridiculous. And in a Specialist cream lipstick. Now this is, I guess, more like a satin. It does feel creamy on the lips, but it does last for a pretty long time. It's a very pigmented color. I find it to be pretty comfortable, but for some reason, after I wear this, my lips feel so dry afterwards. And I recently wore a Velvet Lip Glide from NARS and reapplied it a couple times throughout the day, and my lips felt very dry afterwards as well. So maybe it's just something in the NARS formula. However, this is a basic cream lipstick. They have a lot of shades in their range, but they're not that unique. And I would rather buy an Urban Decay Vice lipstick over a NARS Audacious because they have similar colors in a similar formula. But Urban Decay is quite a bit cheaper than these. So for me, this is just a basic lipstick. It does not deserve all the hype it gets, and it definitely is not worth the price. I'm gonna try to pan this because since it was so expensive, I want to use it up, and it is one of the older lip products in my collection, and I really have not gotten the proper use out of this. So guys, those were the 11 products that I do not think are worth the hype. I would love to know your thoughts on all of these products in the comments down below, and I would love to hear more products that you think are not worth the hype. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye guys.